The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that's doomed.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see your access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
You've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population. This place absolutely outshines it.
It's Monday, the 10th day of August 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. How's everyone feeling today? Happy Monday to you all. Happy Monday. Yes, we are into his house. Another week of on Earth. Given breath and energy and life. Claire Warner says, good morning, Jamel. Good morning, Bermuda. Pray that you all had a great weekend. Indeed, you as well, Claire Warner. Hopefully you had an amazing weekend and you're healthy and happy to be back with us, engaging live on this Monday morning. How's everyone feeling? How's everyone? Anyone do anything fun this weekend? I went to brunch and I got like a foot massage. Yeah, I didn't really do anything crazy. Working on a podcast with some family and gonna be doing that again today, but nothing crazy. You know how you young kids are, nothing crazy like that, nothing out in the wild. You know what I noticed this weekend? Honestly, and folks, tell me if you feel me on this. When I stopped drinking alcohol in like 2019, mocktails were like $5, $6. Why are mocktails the same price as a cocktail? Seriously, like, how did we go? See what a lot of you all started copying me and infiltrating and like getting mocktails. And so now they're like, oh, well, more people are getting, non-alcoholic beverages. Let's raise the price. Yeah, I think that's how we got there. But anyway, we've got more important things to discuss and, have a conversation about today. So greetings, everyone. And thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Look, how will Bermuda's government's push for price transparency help you? Like, how will it help us? What are your thoughts on that? The Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, and Aaron Crichlow, member from the Cost of Living Commission, are going to stop by to discuss this very issue. We're grateful that we had Zach Munners from Linders on to discuss it and what it means for the grocery stores from their perspective last week. So looking forward to the conversation with Mr. Lightbourne and Mr. Crichlow later on in this show. The daily play is Bermuda trivia today. Some Bermuda trivia today. This question is going to really reflect how much we pay attention to positive news in Bermuda. Stick with us for this one. This is going to be a real test of what we allow to grab our attention, this Bermuda trivia question this morning. All right. Audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. We got Suzanne Ingham says, good morning, Jamel and TDH. It's another super awesome day to be alive. Yesterday, I did a plant-based breakfast with Dr. Kendra Lee Pearman. It was absolutely awesome. She's working on a cookbook. I'm excited. Yeah, she was on the show earlier this year. I'm happy to hear that. I didn't have a plant-based breakfast yesterday, but I'm happy that you did. I am. Chicken and waffles ain't plant-based. Laverne Tucker says, had a fantastic weekend. Clearwater was my home yesterday. So I'm like, yeah, a little family, something down there. Love to hear it. All right, folks, let's get into today's question because unfortunate news this weekend. And just going to go to the police report that we did receive on at 4:44 p.m. on August 8th. Says, good afternoon all. At approximately 4:02 p.m. Saturday, August 8th, police along with emergency services personnel were dispatched to a two-vehicle road traffic collision involving a flatbed truck and a motorcycle at the junction of Harbor Road and Chapel Road, Paget. Reports are the truck was exiting Chapel Road when it collided with the motorcycle, which was traveling west along Harbor Road. The motorcycle rider, a male, sustained serious head and back injuries. His female passenger was left with minor injuries. They were both attended to at the scene before being transported to King Edward Memorial Hospital by ambulance for further treatment. Sadly, the male succumbed to his injuries shortly thereafter. The collision scene was being processed by traffic collision investigators along with forensic personnel. Anyone with information was asked to contact Police Constable Walter Jackson on phone number 717-0469. All right. Now, I guess the question, what more can we do to stop the deaths on Bermuda's roads? That's the question of the morning. What more can we do? And, unfortunately, we had another weekend of havoc on Bermuda's roads with another collision claiming a life. Now, before I go any further, I just want to send my sincere condolences, love, and strength to the family, friends, and greater community of the latest person we've lost. I really wish we didn't have to keep having this conversation. We've spoken about road safety countless times on this show. The Bermuda Road Safety Council continues to push its messages. Its police speak about it. Government speaks about it. Families who've lost loved ones speak about it. Yet, despite all of that, people continue to use our roads in ways that put themselves and others at risk. At this point, I agree with many of you. This feels like an epidemic. When something becomes an epidemic, repeating the same messaging, hoping people will suddenly change their behavior isn't enough. We have to start asking whether what we're doing is actually working. We've blamed the condition of the roads. We've spoken about speeding. We've spoken about impaired driving, overtaking, distracted driving, helmets, seat belts, and personal responsibility. Speed cameras are coming. Please continue enforcement. There are awareness campaigns throughout the year, yet people continue to die. So what are we missing? I recently said that Bermuda's roads aren't necessarily the biggest problem. Said the people using them are. I still believe that. Yet some of our roads, yes, they may be in terrible condition and there are intersections and blind corners that need attention. But none of that forces someone to speed or overtake dangerously, drive impaired, or make a reckless decision. At some point, we have to acknowledge that this is also a cultural and behavioral problem. We can't continue to believe that we can't control, yes, we can't control every decision someone makes, whether they're behind a wheel or on a bike. But perhaps we can make it much harder for dangerous behavior to continue without consequences. Maybe it means stronger enforcement. Maybe it means harsher penalties. Maybe it changes to how people earn and keep a license. Maybe technology has a bigger role to play. Maybe we need to completely rethink how we educate young people about driving before they even get on the road. Look, I don't pretend to have the answer. But I do know that accepting another death, offering condolences, talking about road safety for a few days and then returning to normal until the next tragedy simply isn't working. The goal of this conversation shouldn't be to point fingers. It should be to figure out what we haven't tried, what we're not doing enough of, and what needs to change. We're a small island. Every life lost impacts families and workplaces, sports clubs, schools, neighborhoods, and entire communities. We should never become comfortable with this. So again, your question of the morning, scrolling at the bottom, what more can we do to stop deaths on Bermuda's roads? Give us your thoughts on that. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and I'll give you the poll as well. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show again. I just want to send condolences and love to the family and friends. And I did not ignore what was in the police report. I just overread it, that from the road fatality this weekend on Saturday the 8th at the junction between Harbor Road and Chapel Road. The male truck driver did not appear to have been injured. He was arrested on suspicion of driving whilst impaired by alcohol or drugs and detained at the Hamilton police station. So my apologies. I didn't omit that on purpose. I just overread that. So just wanted to share that. Suzanne Ingham says the 12th road fatality and we're only in our 8th month. It is very disturbing. I think people must just slow down and pay attention. Tyra Simmons says, I think we should start categorizing the accidents. Well, we've been told stop using the term accidents. These are not accidents, they are collisions. But start categorizing them. Was inattention, intoxication, cell phone usage, speed. Then we can start to put resources in place. Maybe the offender take mandatory classes. I like that idea, though. I do. I really do like that. And based on the police report, impairment seemed to have played a role based on the police report, right? Tara Simmons goes on, and or drug alcohol counseling and testing, and the courts hold on to their license until the classes are completed. Are we able to hold the clubs / bars accountable if a person just left the establishment drunk? These are necessary. It's a necessary conversation, Tara Simmons. These are necessary ideas. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, using birth dates, why not have staggered times for driving to and leaving work? I can't recall at the moment where this was done. Says Saudi Arabia, Tokyo, DC, Mumbai. Okay, never heard of that. Staggered times, leaving work. I'm not sure how I feel about that because of everything else. And I mean, are these collisions happening during leaving work hours, rush hour? I think what Tyra said, we need a lot more information to really give more direct input. Not sure that we have all the information necessary, but the police have done a great job of sharing data over recent years. Here's the poll question, folks. Here's your poll for the morning. Are we doing enough to make Bermuda's roads safer? Are we doing enough to make Bermuda's roads safer? You can put 1 for yes, 2 for no. But are we doing enough to make Bermuda's roads safer? That's a question there. Let us know what your thoughts are. I mean, as I said earlier, I don't have the answers. I think based on what we do know, I'm not quite sure what more we want the government to do that we're going to appreciate. I feel like our job should want them out of our business and let us be adults, responsible adults. It's like I told Pastor Seaman on Friday, I don't think that necessarily marijuana should be illegal. I think we need to educate our young, people on its usage. And I think the issue there is trusting that people will receive the education and, utilize it to their benefit. And I think that's how we look at our roads right now. It's like, well, if you don't do better, then the government has to get involved and, start putting us in a space where we're going to be criminalized for making poor decisions. And I don't think anyone wants that, I honestly, even having these conversations, we're going back years now. I don't like to have them. We shouldn't be having them. I don't think any of us is perfect. I can be very impatient when I'm in the road, punk somebody every now and then who's sitting at a red light, right? I don't think that I'm that disciplined, folks. I don't think that I'm much better than anyone or more intelligent than anyone enough to do better. Like I don't understand the need for people to feel like operating any type of vehicle or machinery after being under the influence is necessary. I think it's one of the most selfish things we do that we've normalized. It starts from the top. It starts from the top as well. If we see those we look up to, as children, we see as children, people we look up to, at the family function, and you see them drinking wine coolers or beer or sucking down whatever they drink all day. And then you get in a car and drive home with them. Like those behaviors, it's like a child, like my niece, everything. A perfect example. I was checking my blood pressure, had the blood pressure monitor on my arm, right? So my niece comes over, Uncle, what's that? And I told her, and she said, I want to do it. Now, my niece's arm is literally the size of my 2 fingers here. So it's not going to do that for her. So she was getting quite upset. But my point is, she saw me doing something for me, and she automatically wanted to do it. That's how children look at it. Well, why are you telling me I can't? I couldn't tell. I tell it, well, it's not going to work for you. She still wants to do it. That's how they see alcohol and the behaviors of adults. That's what it is. So back to Bermuda's roads again, havoc on our roads this weekend. And if you think I'm lying, just look through the police reports from this weekend. There were quite a few things that happened on our roads. And unfortunately, 1 life was lost. And that takes our total to 12 road fatalities. So the question of the morning, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. What more can we do to stop the deaths on Bermuda's roads? And the poll question right there is very simple. Are we doing enough to make Bermuda's roads safer? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Let's go to the comments to see what you all are thinking about this. Well, we've got Manny Rankin says, continue everything we are doing, but enforcement is trumps to me. Police presence would slow people down and curtail impairment. I would hope so. And I agree. I'm not saying that the police shouldn't do this job. I just feel like At what point do we as adults take responsibility? I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the people in my life. I'm very intentional who I allow in my life, and most of my friends I've been friends with since we were children. But it is disappointing to me if I feel like they will go and drink and drive. Like, it is disappointing. I've said for years, my friends and I go to a cop match. We all jump in a taxi. We got a ride to the game in the morning, and then we'll find a way home at night. There's somebody else responsible, right? But I'm really hopeful that this gets through to them as well. Like, none of us are immortal. We're not invincible, you know? And I really hope it hits home for us to do better. So I take your point. Manny Rankin says more police and cameras on the roads. I don't want a police state. I don't want that. But the truth is, that's pretty much what some people seem to be asking for. It's unfortunate. I agree with Dr. Anthony Richardson. He says government can only do so much. The onus needs to be on the people. Yes. It has to be on us, right? Janet Maynard says, good morning, TDH family. Maybe we need driving instructors to take a class to ensure that we are educating new drivers. Sometimes I wish I could tell the drivers behind me, fly over me. Yeah. Man, I get worried in the US, though. I don't drive like a grandpa, like people used to say, but when somebody gets all up and back on me, I'm like, am I driving that slow? And it's usually like 5 or 6 lanes. It's multiple lanes. But I'm just like, go around me, man. But I got a little worried because I'm like, are they in back of me because, I owe them money or something? Like, I don't owe people money. Like, what is it? But some people just do that to get you to go faster, right? Like, hurry up. I don't like aggressive driving. I mean, the only time I'm guilty of it is when I know someone's on their phone and they're sitting on a light. Like, no, we're not going to do that today. That's kind of the only time I do it, I think. I record myself, so I'll get back to you. Charles H. Jefferson II says, I think it's an epidemic. The number of impaired drivers is likely a lot more than those who are caught because of a collision or sobriety checks. We need more accountability of friends, family, bars. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely we do. I want to ask the audience something. When was the last time you told a friend, yeah, you ain't having no more drinks? When was the last time you told one of your friends, no, that's it for you? When was the last time? Ask yourself that. You don't have to share it publicly. When you've been around a friend that you know has had enough, when's the last time you've taken a drink from them and just, no, that's it? Cameron Fox says, anyone caught drunk driving or speeding should lose your passport. Ooh. The size of the cars, LED lights, no yellow line in the middle of the road is a big factor. Everyone seems like we're always late. Yeah, leave home earlier. Sherry Vanderpool says, how about our moral compass? Just slow down. And then she criticizes me about my grandpa driving. That's why I made her drive last time, folks. We've got Kristen Souza says, there were 20 deaths per million people in Norway last year. You feel how seriously every driver takes their responsibility here. Cars stop for me 5 feet before I reach a crossing. Wow. Now that sounds like personal responsibility. 9/11 Island Girl says, what's happening on our roads has become a health and safety crisis for some time. It is time to take drastic measures to stomp it out. Longer time off the road, 5 years for due care crashes and DUI. I don't think that'll change anything. I don't think punishment. Let me take it back. I remember saying on this show in the first 3 years over and over and over when there was all this violence and people would say, bring the death penalty back. I'm like, I think you all should do your research. The death penalty doesn't lower serious crime and murders. My point is, increasing the punishment doesn't deter. It's been proven. It doesn't deter. You think these guys that are going out shooting in Bermuda are thinking about the punishment? They think they're going to get away with it. I'm not saying that I disagree. I'm just saying that if we're thinking about the punishment more than the education and changing people's behaviors, then I think we probably got the steps wrong. It doesn't change much. If you look at the punishments over the years, they have kind of increased. So we have to really focus on the behavior. Behaviors. Not saying we can't increase the punishments. But the other side of the punishment as well is, okay, you take someone's license for 5 years. Now you've created a criminal, because I guarantee you in that 5-year span, they will operate a vehicle. So I don't want to create more problems out of this. I want to find ways to educate and resolve the issues we're facing as a community. We have an issue in Bermuda. And the truth of the matter is that we're all a part of it, which is why it continues to exist. We've all recently probably been to an event and seen somebody leave under the influence. We've all probably recently been in a vehicle where someone is operating it while being distracted by their phone. We've all probably recently been in a space where someone's speeding where they shouldn't be. We've all probably been in a vehicle recently where someone's operating a vehicle in a less courteous way. None of us can sit here and act like we have not seen or witnessed poor behaviors on our roads. But what did we do about it when we did? That's what we need to be addressing. What are we doing? Because to tell you what, I make a lot of unpopular decisions for my life. I don't go out at night, late nights anymore. Because I don't trust people on the roads. Am I more boring for it? Probably to some people. But just find early evening activities to do. Let's show some love to Titan Express and Secure. We have a very special guest coming up. The Minister of Home Affairs, Alexa Lightbourne, and Aaron Crichlow, member of the Cost of Living Commission, going to be talking about price transparency and the recent amendment to the Cost of Living Act. So you don't want to miss this. Let's show some love to Titan Express Secure. I'll go through a final few comments when we get back. The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural expressions, they set their standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you. Alrighty, folks. Let's go through these final few comments real quickly. We've got Suzanne Ingham says, I don't drink, haven't for the past 45 plus years. Congratulations to you. Tell people every day, take your times on the roads and please do not drink and drive. Get a ride, please. We've got Polly Rich says, as always, money talks. We need to cut down on the availability of alcohol, but unless we become a police state, that will never happen. Manny Rankins says, punishment doesn't change much. Better teaching doesn't change now. The fear of getting caught speeding or impaired would curtail collisions. I agree. That's why I said, spoke about that. Like increasing the punishment probably won't change much. We've got 9/11 Island Girl says, 2 of my friends in 2 different states have their cars attached to some kind of device, which lets their insurance company know if they're using their phone or speeding. We need that in Bermuda. They try to get me to sign up to get a further discount. But I'm like, nah, bruh. I thought about it. I'm going to be real with you. Because they literally have all your data in terms of whether you stop short or not and so on. I don't know. I feel like the system already tracks me, but I take your point, though. I take your point on that 9/11 Island girl. I feel like you already know where I am 24/7, location-wise. You don't need it. You don't need that. Charles H. Jeffs II says, I also believe that laws should be fairly adjudicated regardless of status and political affiliation. Many of us heard about the case on Court Street, but there was nothing that came from that. What case on Court Street? Remind me. And remind the audience, you can't speak in riddles like that. People are tuned in. They don't know what you're talking about. Seriously. You got to, I don't assume people know what you're talking about. I literally do not know what you're talking about. All right, folks. 100% of you have said that, are we doing enough to make Bermuda's roads safer? You said, no. Okay. Well, who's the we? It's days of the year, but I've got to give you today's Bermudian icon. Let's see who Teo is honoring today.
Welcome to TDH's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at Zipex. Clyde Best didn't just become one of Bermuda's, actually no, Clyde Best didn't just become Bermuda's greatest footballer, he helped change English football forever. Raised in Somerset, Best signed for West Ham United in the late 1960s and went on to play at the highest level of British football during an era when black players routinely faced racist abuse from the stands and discrimination off the pitch. Through talent, determination, and extraordinary resilience, he established himself as a respected top-tier striker, proving that a young man from tiny Bermuda could succeed on one of the world's biggest sporting stages. His influence stretched far beyond the goals he scored, which were a lot. Clyde Best became a symbol of possibility for generations of Bermudian athletes, inspiring countless young footballers to believe their dreams didn't have to end at Bermuda's shores. His remarkable story was later captured in the award-winning documentary Clyde Best, The Goal of His Life, which chronicles both his footballing achievements and his role in breaking down racial barriers in the English game. Today, Clyde Best is remembered not only as a sporting legend, but as a pioneer whose courage, character, perseverance, and extraordinary talent helped open doors for black footballers around the world and for Bermudians who dared to dream just as big. And that's today's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at Zipex. Now back to the show.
Thanks so much for that, Teo. Thanks again to Zipex. Bermudian Icon, Mr. Best definitely is one of those. All right, folks, it's World Lion Day. So in honor of, my favorite big cat, actually the only probably cat I like, because those little things that you have in your houses. No, I don't do those. But anyway, the big cat, the lion. I want to ask you all, what's your favorite wild animal? 2 years ago, we were in Kenya, and I had been to a safari in South Africa previously, but the one in Kenya, we saw just so many lions. And I was just like, are they not the laziest animals in the wild? Like, all they do is sleep. I'm just like, it reminds me when you're a child and your parents say, oh, you got it good now, like the life, because, you just eat, play, you don't have to work or anything. But lions are just so lazy. I'm like, they just have the life. They only work, a few hours a night. They go and hunt and do the thing. But you want to see them all day. And when you see them, they're not doing anything. They're just laying on. You want to see, sorry for animal lovers, but you want to see a kill or something when you're out in the wild. You want to see them in action and doing something. Now, they say, well, if you want to see that kind of stuff, sometimes you got to come out at night. I'm not going in the wild at night. I don't care how many people have made it out. Anyway, wildlife, what's your favorite? We've got cheetah, says Traveling Trotty. She says cheetah. We've got, no, I don't think Miss Horton was saying Clyde Best, but she's speaking about something else. Clyde Best, West End schoolboy. Alrighty, folks. Canadian Lynx, says Dr. Anthony Richardson. All right, folks. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're about to get serious. We've got some information coming from the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, and Aaron Crichlow. You've seen him on the show before from Bermuda's Love. He's here representing the Cost of Living Commission today. So looking forward to the conversation after this break. So do not go anywhere. We'll be back in a short few, about 4 minutes, 27 seconds to be exact.
Guess what? Bermuda's most popular game is back. That's right, Shoe Buy is back in stores. But wait, there's more. The brand new Shoe Buy Summer Edition is here too. Bring the laughs, the vibes, the friendly chaos to your barbecues and summer get-togethers with Bermuda's favorite game. Don't miss your chance to get yours. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on social media to learn more.
One Lucky Bucks in the summer edition has a golden ticket with the chance to win a grand prize courtesy of One Communications.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast, so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Ace boy, I see you got your US cash. Traveling again? Rich auntie, you know what's your secret?
Nah, I just use the new HSBC Bermuda travel website.
I know about cash back, but it's got a travel website too?
Yeah, and it's lit. Flights, hotels, rentals, book it all in one spot and use your reward points instantly. No blackout dates, no delays. I'm going, bro.
What you mean use your points instantly?
Yeah, bro. Go on this site, see how many points you've got from all that shopping you've been doing. And if you ain't got enough for what you want, just use your HSBC credit card and top it up with some more points.
Okay, spend the points, stack some more. I see, I'm got you now.
I know, right?
Log on to redeem.hsbc.bm. Book your travel deal. Pay with your points. No blackout dates. Easy and hassle-free. Visit redeem.hsbc.bm and get going. HSBC, opening up a world of opportunity. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Ever taken medication and thought, why is this hitting me so hard? Or why isn't this doing anything at all? Here's something you may not know. Your body processes medication the same way it needs to process food, using enzymes. And these enzymes metabolize medication so it can be converted into its useful form or removed from your body. Pharmacogenetics looks at how your DNA influences the way your body metabolizes or breaks down medications. It helps explain why a drug that works well for one person causes side effects in another and barely works at all for someone else. That means the same pill at the same dose can feel very different from one person to the next. It's not about blame, it's not about doing something wrong, it's simply biology. And once you know what works best for you, medication decisions stop being guesswork and start becoming personalized.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamel Hartman here. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations on a regular basis. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com, and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, I did say it's, World Lion Day or something like that. And I asked you all who your favorite wild animals are. And Manny Rankin said, cheetah's amazing to watch catching prey in such. The elephant, the beautiful elephant, Shonette Bell says. Crocs says STW.441. We've got Kristen Sousa said, I would love to see orcas, but from the shore, there is no way I'm getting in a raft to see them. Yeah, okay. I love orcas too, but I'd rather see them from the TV myself. All right, folks, let's get ready. We've got some very special guests. I wonder what their favorite wildlife animals are. We've got the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, and Aaron Crichlow. Let's give them hold on. Let me get the right music because I definitely don't want to play the police music with these two individuals coming on. So, the siren, I meant something wrong. All right, let's give a warm TDH welcome to a very special guest for the day. We're talking this price transparency thing and the cost of living commission, what it all means for us. Greetings, folks. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me turn my music. They were going crazy for you just
Yeah,
now.
I didn't hear any music at all. I was waiting for it.
Oh, perfect. Be sure it was the right one. First off, I gotta ask you before we get into the serious stuff. It's World Lion Day. Do you both have a favorite wild animal?
I'm between an elephant and a black panther. I don't know. What about you, Ryan? Aaron?
I would say the cheetah.
Cheetah.
Cheetah's my favorite. Fastest land animal.
Okay, the elephant, beautiful. Cheetah, fast. I can see it. I can dig
Yes,
it.
you can see my elephants here.
There you go. There you go. One more quick thing before we get into today's conversation. You both are very attached to the general community on a regular basis, in and out of your roles that you're here to discuss today. It would be probably inappropriate for me not to ask you about our topic this morning, which was the havoc on our roads. Did you have anything you wanted to add or say, both of you?
I definitely want to give condolences to the family. Any life loss is one life too many. And I think in terms of the question that you were asking your audience about what more can be done, I was thinking, in expectation that we would likely be asked this question. And I think it is really the village that we grew up on, which said that we looked out for each other. We did tell people about, if they've ever consumed, what they ought to be doing or giving them a ride. And I think we have turned into a very individualistic society. And so as long as we are okay, then our ability to extend beyond ourselves is limited and less likely than it used to be. Of course, that is one component, right? I don't think that the government should be parents of individuals. People have to have personal responsibility as well. So I think it's a combination. I don't actually think it's one particular thing that will, eat or hit at the heart of that problem, but I think it's around one, knowing that we are kings and queens, and so if you value your life, you're not going to carry yourself a certain way. Two, about the village in terms of people, if they see you straying or see you perhaps doing something that could invite negative outcomes, check for them and say, listen, this is what you could do to do something different. But I'll let Aaron also weigh in. But these are just two things that I think could be looked at differently.
Yeah, and I would just like to stress that I think in Bermuda, drinking and driving is just far too normalized, we just do it every day. It doesn't matter whether it's a big party, whether it's just day drinking. It's something that's just so normalized. Like when I was younger, people would leave parties and just drink and say, yeah, I'm going home to, St. George's from town and drinking. And it's just something that was so just culturally accepted and not anything that we really pushed back against, to be honest. So I think more needs to be done just in, yeah, as you mentioned, Jamal, just every day, just talking to people and asking them, telling them to stop drinking potentially, asking them to give them rides home, and just sharing more concern for each other's safety at the end of the day is something that we need to do as Bermudians much more.
Yeah. Thank you both for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And I know it's just words, but depending on who they come from, sometimes people listen, and that's just unfortunately our reality. But we're happy to have this show today. We were not having a show, but when we get the call, we must do what the people need. And this has been a topic of conversation that honestly has been up there with Cup Match this summer, right? The cost of living hasn't gone away. And now the introduction of price transparency, grateful that we were able to have Zach Manas from Linda to share his perspective from a grocer's perspective and be transparent with the information that he was able to engage our live audience with. But I want to start by asking you, Minister, in layman terms, can you explain from the government's perspective what the cost of living amendment to is? What problem is it trying to solve, and how will it benefit Bermudians?
Absolutely. Well, one, thank you for responding to our outreach. We wanted to be sure that we were a part of this discussion, and I'm pleased that one of the commissioners, Aaron, is here with me today. The Cost of Living Commission, and if you recall the last time I was on your show, I talked about the Cost of Living Summit and the Affordable Bermuda Agenda, which was the beginning of our journey. It was the beginning of a road to both understand what isn't currently working, and then together the commission was invited to chart the framework that the amendment would evolve to, the amendment of the law, so that we could have greater oversight over the cost of living in Bermuda. We had the summit where we learned so much. We began with listening. We had the summit and we said, what are the things that the government doesn't understand about the cost of living? What is it that we're missing about imports and, our dependency and ensuring that we really have a handle on not only the public's view and the public's concerns. It's the number one issue that you hear on the doorstep. It's the number one issue that we're talking about in our communities. And so we began by listening and having a collection of both the public and stakeholders involved and in the room to better help us and the commission understand. And so one of the critical amendments was emanated from the learnings, which was that the existing law just requires the commission and gives the commission an ability to request the final price of the essential goods. And there were, at the time, 33 essential goods. And so what we've learned is that actually that cost at the end does not display or define all the other costs that go into what is the final cost at the end that the public is seeing and receiving. And so appreciating that there are supply chain costs, appreciating that the retail cost does not fully contextualize the operational costs. It fully doesn't contextualize the shipping costs and all these other things that are contributing to that final cost. That is what this amendment is seeking to do. It appreciates what the legislation does not know, and the legislation now expands to understand truly the journey that this essential good would travel and the costs that make up that final price, so that the commission can better inform the public and that the commission can be better informed about prices and also around how we can strive towards and reach affordability.
And real quickly, I mean, obviously we've heard the concerns from the other side, but explain the difference between control and transparency as it relates to government doing this.
So it's often used because the bill is the original price control bill. That is a fact, and that has been since 1978 when the bill originally was tabled, and that's the architecture that we've evolved. And so there are tenets of it that still point to price control, with the key indicator being the second schedule. The second schedule actually says these are the goods that we are going to control prices on. And when tabled, that schedule is empty. So that really indicates, as an extension of what the commission has discussed and decided, that that was not what they were focused on at this time. They wanted to better understand the data. They wanted to better understand what cost actually exists and how they are reflected at the register in a more detailed way, which a final price just requested from retailers would never be able to provide that picture.
I want to go to you, Mr. Crichlow, but one more question for the minister before I get to you. So one of the concerns is that this kind of thing takes away the element of competition, right? So, and I didn't mention it last week, but I can say it now because the store no longer exists. But it was White Supermarket back in the day, and I was working at Hot 107.5 in sales. And the lady said to me, the marketing lady says, look, don't run this commercial until Wednesday. I think it was like the week before the first Connie game, which was like 2 weeks before Connie match. It was watermelons on sale. And I pushed it through and, forgot to put that in the note, don't run it until Wednesday. And it was run Tuesday. And they were up in arms because now the competitor had that same price for the watermelons. Now, for me, I'm like, oh, they did it because they heard it on here, whatever. But that's something that they take seriously, that this bill takes away their ability to compete. Can you speak to that a bit?
So I am not a business owner, and so I cannot speak to the business environment. What I can say concretely is that we have sat with the retailers and wholesalers to better understand not only their business flow, but the other kind of elements that go into their everyday business. I recall, even a wholesaler sharing about how, they also, as part of the cost, no longer can just send one driver into the city of Hamilton. They have to send two because there's no parking. So one has to unload the items and one has to deliver the items. And so that's an element that we learned through this process that we began just over a year ago. And so we don't arrive at this knowing it all, but we arrive at this knowing that something must be done to be able to better understand, to be able to equip the government, who has given $40 million worth of duty relief to the public, with the belief and the hope that it will be passed on, with the belief and the hope that that is the right mechanism to affect cost of living and particularly cost of goods. And we need to better understand if that is even the best approach. Successive governments have done that, and successive governments have touted that as an accomplishment. And I think that is a sacrifice that the government has made, but we are seeking to confirm, so that we know for a fact this is what is impacting families and as is having the impact that we seek for it to have.
Audience, if you have any questions or comments for the minister or Mr. Crichlow, you can send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. Aaron, I want to just ask you, one of the major themes is greater price transparency, as we mentioned. What information will consumers have access to that they may not have had before, and how can that help people make better purchasing decisions?
Yeah, so one of the main plans that we have is to find out exactly what the overall cost of an item is when it gets to Bermuda. So not just understanding what the shelf price is, but understanding the importation, the freight, the different markups, as well as the labor cost that it costs to actually put the item on the shelf. For the public, it's about having us understand exactly how do we get to that price. What was the mechanisms? What is the importers, the retailers, the suppliers, wholesalers? What's role do they each have? So there's greater price awareness of understanding exactly how prices arrive. As Bermudans, we know that we have the highest cost of living in Bermuda, but we also don't understand exactly why that is. We know we import 90% of all our food, but exactly how that relates to it being so expensive, we just need more data on to fully understand. And this will help hopefully get consumers to understand why prices are so expensive. One of the key things that we hope with the commission to share with the public directly is some of the lowest prices in the island. So understand exactly, give consumers the opportunity to go to different grocery stores to determine exactly where they can go to get the lowest cost item, so that they can effectively have lower costs for their grocery prices.
Okay. Thank you for that. Minister, the bill does look beyond the price at the supermarket and across the wider supply chain, right? Can you explain what that means, like in layman terms for the people?
So the price that the public receives when they see it at the grocery store is made up of different elements. We would have heard firsthand, and we often having had discussions with them. The retailers will point to the wholesalers will point to the shipping companies, and so it's just this. Well, it's not us, it's them in many instances. And so we appreciate that a price that is reflected at the grocery store is not it doesn't tell the full story. And so in order for the government to be more informed, in order for us to have more informed consumers, we must first seek to understand, and understanding comes with the data.
With the approximately 40 million in duty relief in the last year, why is price transparency the next step?
Well, the reality is price transparency has always been in the law. Price transparency has requested for the 33 essential goods, which were listed in the Cost of Living Amendment Act, that the cost of living commission could always, up until this point, ask retailers for that information on those items. But again, the final cost that is reflected at the store is not telling the full story. And so I think even from a national security perspective, we see the impacts that we've had to experience of these global shifting events. We've seen, the recent oil event and just what ends up being, the byproduct of our cost. We've seen last year with the tariffs and the impact that that had on costs. And the government, I believe, from a national security perspective, should also seek to understand these costs and the impacts even more so as we see these events taking place more frequently, and not wait until it becomes critical, but actually use it as a way to be better informed so we can make better decisions in the future about how we can best support the public who we're elected to serve.
One of the things I don't get to see many politicians on my timeline anymore, but Elizabeth Warren slipped in there recently. And one of the things that she was fighting for, seriously, but probably because I agree with this, I spoke on it, but she was fighting for recently was that a lot of countries, due to the Supreme Court decision in the US, a lot of companies got their monies back from what they were charged from the tariffs. And she's saying, well, that money should go to the people who spent it. Would you say this is kind of similar where some retailers have received relief and now, out of that relief, you want to see how much actually went to the people?
So I think there's two parts to this. The government has also heard from retailers, wholesalers in the past that this is a way to best impact cost, is to subsidize it. And so successive governments have made this step. What I and the commission have confirmed is also necessary is that we can do an audit. I don't know any kind of business that operates. I know they in their businesses they do audits, and they are checking to ensure that their financials are appropriately presented. That's not what we're seeking to do for their business. We want to understand that the $40 million that we're spending for items that we believe the public deserves access to and greater access. In the way that the government has sacrificed this duty for them to ensure that they are actually reaching the public. Is this the best vehicle for this to take place? Are there other vehicles that relief ought to be shifted towards? And so I think we should be able to confirm, we should be able to understand what are the other impacting supply chains, cost of the original item, etc., to understand from a country how these costs are impacting the price at the shelf, and also to be able to provide a level of transparency to the public as well, because the public also believes that they have perceptions around cost and affordability in Bermuda. And so one of the discussions that I remember hearing quite vividly around the cost of living commission table is that they are intentional about, as part of the website, saying that when you go to a convenience store, you must also appreciate what that means. That cost versus the cost of a major store, for example, is going to be materially different because they're dividing it and the cost of that item across more things, more staff, more electricity bills, etc. But for a convenience store, they can only kind of supply and stock so much, so their quantities may be lower, so their price as an extension will be higher. So this is the type of lessons and learning that will couple what is provided as transparency in the makeup of a price, but also to be able to better inform the public around their expectations when they go to the grocery store.
Alrighty. Audience, if you have any questions or comments directly about what we're discussing today, you can send them through and I'll get to the comments in a few, but I want to ask before we go, and I have one more question for you as well, Mr. Crichlow, but Minister, there's been some confusion about the 5% threshold. Can you explain what actually happens when the price of a scheduled essential commodity increases 5% or more within the same fiscal year?
So when a price is intended to increase, again, it's about price transparency and informing the public who says to us that costs are out of control and they feel as though there is no one checking, no oversight over the cost of what we are determining as essential goods for everyday living. And so when a price goes up 5%, the commission is intended to be informed about that price so that the public can also manage their expectation around the price of that good. And so it is the process of a retailer identifying or a retailer identifying that cost and the increase and being able to tell the commission to better inform the public about it thereafter.
Now, one of the things, and this is for both of you, one of the things that I've seen throughout just having conversations on this show, but also throughout social media comments on this issue is surprisingly, or not, there are a lot of people who are sympathizing with the businesses and retailers because I'm going to use Linda's and Zach since he's been on the show. There were a lot of people who did not know that they have to pay for empty containers to go back outside of Bermuda, like the additional cost, the overhead, and the like. So people are beginning to have a different perspective or understanding. You've had some people on this show ask, well, why doesn't Bermuda government or the businesses purchase its own ship? And then that eliminates problems. You had some people saying that, well, we're not discussing the elephant in the room, that, well, there's less people buying groceries, so on. I want to go back to something, and this is for both of you. Yes, the businesses often point out that Bermuda's prices are affected by factors beyond their control, right? People leaving, the freight, and the energy costs that are rising from another company, which I brought up last week, is probably a bigger issue. Wages, overseas suppliers, like their prices go up. You mentioned the tariffs earlier. How will the commission distinguish between legitimate increases in the cost of doing business and pricing practices that warrant closer scrutiny?
Aaron, I'll let you answer. I've spoken a lot. I can supplement any of your responses.
Yeah, sure. So I think the commission right now is still in a way trying to figure out exactly how that process happens. Of course, we understand that price fluctuates because of climate change, natural disasters, because of wars, because of all different types of extenuating circumstances that the businesses cannot control. And so for those situations, we would be exactly like sympathetic to any fluctuations in prices. But right now, unfortunately, we don't have any understanding of why prices increase at all in the first place, for example. So we don't have any data to confirm how much shipping costs, how much freight costs, how much importation costs, how much labor costs, how much, all these different costs affect the final product on the shelf. And so when the government's making its or has done its duty relief, it wants to see that the duty relief has actually been applied to the final price on the shelf. And so that this process of getting more data can confirm to the commission to see whether the duty relief has had any effect on the cost of the good on the shelf. And then further, once we have further more data to determine exactly how much shipping or freight cost, or that the supplier wholesaler costs from overseas was, and how that may have shifted or increased because of some type of war or climate change disaster, we can better understand exactly why prices have increased and also try to do something about that at the same time. So it's not just to have more data and then just look at it and just understand, but understanding with the purpose to do something, to amend, to change it. So we want to actually understand if duty relief has been passed for all these different essential goods. So it's, for example, it's been reduced from 20% to 0 for various items. How has this impacted the shelf price? And further, could other changes or could government create any other changes to shipping or freight or to importation or to have any type of control in terms of subsidizing, I don't know, any other issues or any other costs within the final cost? What else can the government do to address these final costs? So that's one of the main reasons or main purposes behind the legislation, so that we can have understanding, so that all consumers in Bermuda can know exactly what we're doing to help lower the cost fundamentally in Bermuda.
Did you want to add anything, Minister?
I was just going to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And so I think we have done that as a government. We have believe that it has meaningfully impacted families. And if families don't believe that it has, then it's for us to be able to confirm and make a decision around what we can better do to serve those who have elected us and asked for us to address costs. I think that really, though business owners will speak from a business perspective, the public has asked for us to do this. This is not because we've woken up and said, yes, we want to do this today. We've done this because this is what the public has asked for us to do. And so, I recently said, the moment that this is no longer a concern for the public, I'm happy to be informed and we can pivot. Like, there are other things that we can focus our energy on. But as long as the public says that this is their main concern and they are having challenges, having access to what we are determining as essential goods, that is for the government to intervene. We don't have business interests to protect, but we do have to understand the business interests, which is what we've sought to do, and we will continue to understand. There's no intention to put businesses out of operation. And I just take. I find it difficult to understand because we all have to do our role. I think one of the things that I've said consistently is that the cost of living will be addressed through everyone playing their part. Playing their part means the commission can say this is how we can better reflect what the public wants to be able to both understand and we want to understand. The business sector understanding that they too have a role to play. I don't know of any business that doesn't have, or any sector in our community that doesn't have its own compliance layer. You can't get a driver's license without a test. You can't renew your license without a doctor's note. And the same is true in all sorts of other businesses. So why would this be different? Why would it be so irregular for us to want to confirm and better understand what it is from a country perspective that imports everything? Why wouldn't we want to better understand these costs?
Understood. Just going to go to the audience real quickly. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, Minister, well done in taking active steps to bring about a reduction cost of living. There will never be a correct way for obtaining definitive numbers and statistics. Still, your efforts need to be applauded. We've got Kristen Souza asking, how long do you anticipate this taking? When would you hope the insight you gather from this exercise results in relief on grocery bills?
So thank you, Dr. Richardson. Two things must be addressed. One, that we only have the existing law that is enacted. The amendment is pending a third reading in the Senate, which did not receive support. And so the ability for us to look at the supply chain is not yet passed. So that's one. Right now, we can only request information from the retailers as per the current law. And we can only understand, and the more that we will know is a reflection of participation. And so if we can get the participation of those who are stakeholders in this sector, this makes this exercise a lot easier.
Indeed. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, I hope this issue isn't being addressed in the silo of this one ministry, but also include the other ministries such as health, seniors, housing, education, etc. I mean, does the Cost of Living Commission cover other spaces?
At present, it has the remit of the essential goods under the legislation, but there are other areas that are in the scope of the ministry, not the current commission, that will be rolled out in the coming weeks.
All right. We've got Kristen Souza, another question. Also, did the government consider doing this on a coupon basis? For example, consumers get coupons that give them direct relief at the till point of sale. These are then validated and then given by the businesses, and they bill the government for the relief. You could then audit a business if anything looks off.
I don't know that that's been considered in the past, but I think that's it's a great suggestion. And so what I think the viewer, Ms. Souza, was recommending is that to convert that 40 million across every single Bermudian, I think, to be able to give a coupon for duty relief. Is that what I understand? I think that's what the suggestion was. I think it's something that could be explored. I think the commission can also seek to consider. Nothing is off the cards in terms of efforts to be made. But I think instead of us pointing to things that we could also do, let's confirm what we're doing at present, and that's what we're trying to do. But I think this is a great suggestion, and I think the commission will take that away as what future steps can be made to better address costs and impact those who are in need.
Dorian says marketplace needs more competition, similar to how the government has assisted GenCom with South P. Will the government look to assist the BIU or a Black Bermudian with opening a large grocery store? Well, that goes to a question I had, so I might as well ask this of you, Aaron. You know, greater transparency is also intended to encourage competition. Um, I think another elephant in the room that not many people talking about is that the industry has become even more monopolized. What role does that play in a small market like Bermuda, where consumers have limited choices in certain sectors like grocery stores? And how realistically can greater competition be achieved? And where do you see the greatest opportunities for that?
Yeah, I would say it really depends on who has access to who has the transparency. So for example, if marketplace could determine or see all the different prices at all the other grocery stores, and maybe marketplace has a price, for example, I don't know, of $8 for milk, and then they see Linda's is charging $10 for milk, they may increase the price to match it. There's maybe an incentive for, because marketplace knows all the different prices that are going on, they would be able to increase the price without losing any cost. And so I think that's a concern if we were to provide that data publicly to access all different costs on the island. But I think it can also work the other way as well in terms of lowering price across the board. So for example, if consumers have the awareness, have the price transparency, if consumers know where they can go to get the lowest good, the lowest cost, most affordable item, then ideally the consumers will go there. And so it would allow or create competition for different grocery stores to lower their prices so that consumers will go to the store with the lowest price. So I think it can work both ways. And within the commission, our purpose is consumer transparency. So not transparency for marketplace or lenders or the English market, for example, to look at each other's prices, but for the consumer to look at the lowest prices across the board. And so with that information, the consumer will hopefully go towards the lowest price item and encourage other grocery stores to also lower their prices across the board.
Normally I wouldn't, but I just feel like in the interest of this conversation, and it's who I used to be and it's who I really am, but I give people more grace on this show normally. But I want you to be very direct this morning for the sake of this audience, for the sake of the conversation, and for the sake of the bill and what you're trying to accomplish. Is who are the biggest perpetrators of not providing the information that government's looking for? Who are the biggest perpetrators that have led the government to say this is where we need to go and why?
Yeah, I mean, to date, we have received information from Linda's and the garden markets. And so we are grateful for the participation and the compliance to help the commission to better understand. And we await other participants. I think what also is true is that this commission did not just begin a year ago. This is historically successive cost of living commissions who have attempted to do this. And I inherited documents of the response that was, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. And I think, at every junction, what you witness is a different reason why it can't be provided. And I just am concerned about, what does that say about us working on behalf of the people? What does it say when people are in our community and not willing to do what is required to best support the community? And I think everyone has said we want to support the government. We do, but I do think that there has been a lot of time, successive letters, and Aaron, you could probably weigh in on kind of the commission dialogue around the table, because they've all deliberated about it and shared kind of their views with me. And so there's only so much we can do. If we charge in law, there is a fee for non-compliance. But we
Well,
also
that's what I
have
was
that
just going to ask you.
non-compliance fee that we pass on to the consumers. Like we accept that. And so this is the difficulty that we are in.
Go ahead, Aaron, if you had something to add.
Yeah, sure. So I've been part of the commission for 1 year, more or less, and yeah, we've met with many of the we've invited all of the grocery stores to come and meet with us and discuss the issues with data collection in particular. Not all of them have responded. Not all of them have provided data. Not all of them have been as willing to cooperate as we would, like. And for me as a commissioner, it is very, very frustrating to be in that space when you're trying to, or wanting to make, reduce the cost of living for all of Bermuda. Because I think for me and my worker from Bermuda's Love, for example, we see people struggling every day, having to pay for grocery costs, for grocery bills, not being able to afford healthy food, not being able to afford any foods at all, sometimes having to go to feeding programs, to just survive, to make it to the next day. And this is, for me, something that is completely unconscionable, immoral, that we live in this Bermuda where there's so much wealth, but still so many people who can't survive, who can't eat, who can't afford to live in Bermuda. And so one of the big goals is to understand exactly how can we reduce these costs. What can we reduce cost in terms of duty? Do we reduce cost in shipping? Do we reduce cost in any freight, whatever it may be? But we need the data to actually understand whether what has been done so far has had any effect on the actual consumers, the lives that Bermudians live in today, right? And so, as the minister has mentioned, every single person has a responsibility, whether it be grocery stores, whether it be government, whether it be individuals themselves, to be responsible for making the lives of every single person in Bermuda that much easier to live. And so I think for me and my brief time from the commission, it's been somewhat frustrating to not receive the data that we need to make informed decisions so that we can help grocery stores at the end of the day so that they can continue to provide the foods that we all continue to rely on. So as the minister mentioned, we're not looking to put businesses out, because that's going to have an ill effect on every single person in Bermuda. But we're trying to help persons in Bermuda who are struggling right now in terms of providing food for their families. And every single person needs to have a responsibility and has a responsibility to help Bermudians survive. Yeah.
We it's interesting. I just want to go back to what the minister said, and I agree with the comments I'm about to read about both of you, Mr. Crichlow and Minister Lightbourne, appreciating the efforts. But I want to go back to something the minister said about compliance. There'll be punishment for non-compliance, and it will go on to the consumer, which is, as I mentioned last week, when banks, we don't have a check on that. The rates rise, the mortgage, and people think the landlord's the bad apple, but the landlord's just got to cover what the bank's putting on them. And I say that, I share that because I want people to really hear what you're saying and then go back and listen to what Zach Munners said. Zach Munners, when he came from Lindo's last week, he had a lot of concerns, but at no point did he say he was not complying. And the minister just confirmed that Lindo's is one of two who's complied. He's still concerned about some things, and I take his concerns. The minister was very transparent. You said that you're not a business owner. You're doing this based on what the people have asked for in your position. But I am concerned based on you saying that this morning that, and let me be very transparent, Marketplace is a client of the parent company of this company. And this is one of the hardest jobs to do because we rely on that to make a living. But at no point will a dollar silence me from speaking my truth in the best interest of the people of Bermuda. What concerns me greatly about what you just said is the monopoly that any business has, and they don't comply in a way that others are, that you're saying will make price transparency easier and make the cost of living hopefully better and so on. That should concern us all. And I think that's what I want people to hold on to, regardless of your politics, how you feel about the cost of living commission, the minister, the government, whatever, how you feel about them. This is something that I think should concern everyone. But I want to go back to the audience real quickly because someone had a very interesting question. I saw something on social media this weekend, and I don't get to scroll often, but Dr. Anthony Richardson saying there seems to be a great level of support by the senators in the Senate favoring businesses not giving up the requested information. What is being done to overcome this? And I think I saw something this weekend about senators being in favor of it. Speak to that. Like, what is the hesitation by senators? Why aren't they not supporting the government in if like Mr. Crichlow just said, this is about making sure that the people are able to live better?
I'm not a senator, so I cannot speak for the senators. But what I can tell you, I listened naturally to the debating of a bill that was under my remit, and I don't remember anyone speaking on behalf of the people. I don't remember one person saying who would have canvassed or engaged with the public or purchases groceries themselves. Uh, referenced the plight of the everyday Bermudian that is having challenges having access to essential goods when the government is told about how it's other things that point to the reason why the cost is what it is. If that is the case, just allow for the government to understand that better. But I really listened with just concern because the question then becomes, who are you serving? Who do you serve, if not all of Bermuda? And I think that it's really instructive to hear what is the immediate response when we are all elected to make Bermuda a better place. This only helps all of Bermuda. There's no personal benefit that is associated with this. Quite frankly, this is not the fight that I would prefer to have, but I think it is important because if not us, then who is going to fight for this? Because that's what I heard and witnessed in the Senate about the business challenges. When we sat with the businesses and said, these are the types of details. And when I say businesses, we have engaged with the retailers because that is the only remit that the commission has. We've also engaged with the wholesalers, but we have no legal standing to request information from the commission for wholesalers and other items. So I do want to be clear on that. But again, we have invited clarity about the different types of categories, how their systems work, what are the things that they classify it by, the shipping classifications, the refrigerated containers versus the non-refrigerated containers. We've made every effort to really understand this.
But what about like last week, some of the concerns that Zach brought to light? I mean, there's real concerns. Has the government taken some of those concerns, especially about the ability to compete, and said, you know what, that's a good point that Zach made. Let's reach out and see what we can do. Has the commission met to see how we can address those concerns?
I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, so we have met with lenders in person. We've met with other retailers in person, to better understand what their challenges have been in terms of gathering or providing the data. We've taken their suggestions to the whole board, the whole commission itself, and we're listening to hear different suggestions. But at the end of the day, the real purpose of what we're trying to do is make sure that the duty relief that the government has passed on or has created has been effectively passed on to the consumer. And that there are different ways. I think Zach had mentioned audit of a business, for example, as a different option or different opportunity for us to receive that data. But the problem right now is that the commission is starting from absolute scratch, from nothing. And so we need a complete data set to understand exactly where it is now at right now, as well as how it has been in the past. So it's not just a single audit wouldn't provide us the necessary information to make sure that that we have better, more collective data to fully understand how the prices got there over time as well as into the present right now. So we are looking, but we're having, and this is a continuous process. So the commission is continuously meeting with different retailers if they want to reach out and meet with us. We'll probably have further conversations, I think, from our previous meeting that we're going to be doing more, reaching out to different hosts, retailers to understand exactly what their not hesitation is, but what their limits are in terms of providing the data. And we're trying our best to be patient and work with them to figure out exactly how best we can work collaboratively on this issue. But at the end of the day, again, it's just for us, we need data, and we need the data to help us inform whether the what government has done already has had what effect that has had on the price. And then if that hasn't had an effect, then what else can be done?
We'll go to the audience. 9/11 Island Girl is asking, what do you think the reluctance is for the other grocery chains to participate?
Um,
Well,
the reluctance.
hold that thought, because then we have another comment. Charles H. Jobs II says, not surprising that MP, as in Marketplace, hasn't been supportive of this effort. They are the largest grocery retailer in Bermuda and probably have the most to lose by being transparent. This is why monopolies are not good. Do you think that could be part of the reason? Not trying to put words in any of your mouths, just trying to.
I think what we've heard back from retailers is that part of it, the problem is, in terms of right now, I think is whether their systems can provide the data that we're requesting. And so that's a practical logistical limitation that we understand and that we've been patient with. And so that is about understanding exactly what types of, I guess, frameworks that we need to put in place to actually understand, make it as easy as possible for them to provide the data. So that's a logistical issue that we've faced. The other issues relate to what exactly is the purpose of the requesting of the data. So what are we going to do with the data? Are we going to share it publicly? And that is where I think Zach and others have had concerns. So we've clarified that, we're not sharing this data with anyone else. So I think that's been a concern. And then I think a larger, probably the biggest piece that I think is in the idea of price control, and retailers in particular being very fearful of government coming and stepping on the toes and saying you can't control, you don't have the remit to control the prices. And effectively, I think that what that really means is you don't have the authority to control our earned profit, how much profit we're able to make, or for the businesses. And so I think those are the three main issues that retailers have presented, and we've responded to each of those issues, and the minister can talk more about it.
Yeah.
But the purpose of this is not price control; it's price transparency, awareness, so that we can all live easier lives.
Yeah, and I think as you were speaking, a couple of other scenarios came up. I think one of the areas that I remember hearing was around the competition. So the ability for there to be a limitation because one business would know exactly the price of another. What the commission, having heard that feedback, decided to do was to have just the lowest price listed for each item. So if on a given week or whenever the monthly reporting takes place and the website is therefore updated, the lowest price for the essential good item per tariff code and specification will be listed. It's not going to be this price here and this price there. And so therefore there is a inherent competition that is created just as an extension of the website. That's not what's going to be taking place. And that's an example of how, based on the feedback that we receive, the commission then meets and has an informed discussion and makes a decision thereafter. I want to also just identify that the commission intentionally has been made up of those who represent the various segments of our community, from seniors to charity, to women's organizations, to business sectors. And so the intentionality behind the commission members was to ensure that we weren't just representing one segment of the community. It will never be a perfect composition, but that was the intention. And I think that allows for there to be a thoughtful dialogue. There is never a time when every single commissioner agrees on one particular point, but I will say that what is decided, and I'm thankful for the engagement of the commissioners and the commitment, because they have gone from kind of monthly and maybe bi-monthly meeting to every other week they are meeting to be able to discuss this and discuss the updates and progress. And so I say that to raise that we are making every effort to not only understand, but to also act in an informed and considered way. The intention is not to put businesses out, but what we are trying to do is have greater clarity. And I think that is the government's right. on behalf of the people. And I think that it's reasonable and has been done. This isn't unfamiliar to the industries that you would see in other countries.
I know you have to go. I know you have to go. I know
Yes.
I'm limit.
Yes, I'm just realizing the time. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yes.
but I want to say, Michael Daniels said, Minister, I appreciate your efforts, but we need to find suppliers that provide better first cost. That's one.
But do
And
we know what the first costs are? That's the challenge, right? That's what we're trying to understand, right? What are the things that make up this cost from origin to the docks? 2 points that I just want to raise before I go. One is the fact that, coupled with this, the Affordable Bermuda Agenda listed a number of different things that point to our understanding that cost of living is just not solved by one particular area. It's not just foods alone. The Cost of Living Commission has the remit for food and essential goods, but it appreciates that there are other components, one of which the gentleman, I think it was, I can't remember the name that just popped up on screen, but points to the fact that sometimes introductions and facilitating of relationships outside the existing relationships must take place. We have done that. Partnership with the U.S. Consul General, we facilitated engagement with overseas suppliers. I know firsthand I had facilitated introductions with wholesalers and those who export agricultural goods in the U.S. to be able to say these relationships don't already exist. Perhaps that hasn't been a reason to challenge these existing relationships, but let it not be said that there hasn't been every effort to facilitate even these first and new relationships on behalf of what we want to see reflected in Bermuda. The other thing that I just want to mention, because some will ask, well, why do we have to legislate? The Affordable Bermuda Agenda came with the Affordable Bermuda Basket, which had a collection of our same stakeholders who, on a volunteer basis, were invited to provide information over the 9-month period. And the fact that we, even in that vein, have not received information over that volunteer 9-month basis is also instructive and tells the government also what is the way to get better engagement, to better understand.
all right, real quick question. NTS CAU says, I believe it was mentioned that Customs has some of this data. Is that data being leveraged in the meantime? And I've seen those comments across social media.
Customs has a piece of it. The Cost of Living Commission met with Customs, understood the pieces of this data pie, if you will, that Customs can solve. And so the answer in short is yes. But again, there are other costs that Customs cannot provide. That it's important that we have the engagement from all stakeholders in order for us to better understand.
Before you both go, I just want to go ahead. Go ahead, Aaron.
Sorry. I just wanted to add, in terms of the customs data, one of the big problems with receiving it is that some retailers will have the sheet or the cost with everything included. Basically, it's just the final cost, so it doesn't tell us about the shipping itself. But some others will have included it. So that's where the problem with getting the data from customs is it just doesn't provide the full breakdown that we would need to understand the full cost.
Before you both head out, I'll leave it to both of you, not just the minister. But there are people legit tuned in right now. They're struggling, and just me personally, I don't like the idea of government getting involved at all, even when it comes to laws, drunk driving. Like, I just don't think that government should be the last resort, right? I don't like the fact of government getting in private business. I think that the consumer should determine. I think the problem is we have monopolies. I think that's the bigger issue. You've got a monopoly that's receiving government funding, right? And some people have very little choice, right? So that's me personally. But there are people struggling. They want to figure out, how can I stretch that dollar? How can I feed myself and my family? What would you say to them about what this bill means for them?
This bill is one piece of a bigger picture. In addition to these sorts of regulations that we're trying to amend, we have advocated for the Grow, Eat, Save program in partnership with the Ministry of Health to be able to equip people and families with the tools needed to learn how to grow your own goods. This is not going to be a government will fix it alone. It's about decision making. It's about healthier eating and living. We know that there's a broader characteristics and components to that. This will require both the public being more informed, which we're seeking to support, but also doing their part. If they grow just one item that they purchase every week that they can grow here in Bermuda, that helps us on a sustainability perspective, recognizing that we cannot just rely on supply chains, because sometimes supply chains fail. And I think having vision for both the country and its evolution will require us to evolve in various aspects.
Indeed. Aaron, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Some of the lots of people are struggling for food, and that is everything that every single commissioner cares about. That is not just myself, it's not just the minister, but every single commissioner is very mindful about the price of food on this island. And when people can't eat, when people can't survive, then that has fundamental, many different effects on the social welfare of the country. And so what we're saying is, yeah, I would be very sympathetic to people who are have lost patience with the process, who feel like more things should have been done far sooner. And the reality is that it's hard for us as the commission right now to even say that any of our work that has actually impacted the lives of any person in Bermuda effectively. And so some are more discouraged, some are frustrated, and some people will feel that same frustration going to the grocery store today. But what I would say is, stay encouraged, stay motivated, continue to believe that a better Bermuda is possible, and that the commission is working in trying to work in your interest, and that we are continuously open to other different ideas. So feel free to give myself a call, an email, a message to discuss what different ideas you may have that we can bring to the commission to address these costs on a more immediate practical level. Because we're always looking for other ideas to help, because it's not all myself, it's not all the ministers, all of us trying to work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you answered Michael Daniel's question. Is there a way for citizens to communicate with the commission so they can just reach out? What's the best email?
Yes, so we have a ministry. I will send you the email address, the Ministry of Home Affairs inbox. It is checked by the public officer that's the secretariat around the commission, and so they will be able to provide correspondence. You can always send me an email, and aln.lightbourne@gov.bm. I'm available for solutions, questions, and I do want to thank everyone who has been around that table consistently. I don't think that they've ever met with this level of frequency, and I'm grateful for their commitment, because I know that that's how we can move the dial and move the needle.
Indeed, Minister. Mr. Crichlow, thank you both very much for this morning. And let's keep this conversation going. I'm interested to see where it goes. Have a wonderful day, both of you.
Happy Monday.
Thank you, Jamal. Have a great day.
You too. All right. That was the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, and Aaron Crichlow, Bermuda's Love, representing the Cost of Living Commission today. Folks, if you appreciated that discussion, whatever platform you're on, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, not only will we do the daily play, and I said, again, if you are paying attention to more than just the negative news in Bermuda, you should know the answer to today's question. Do not go anywhere. I'll give my final thoughts as well. Stick with us. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I don't got this. I'm gonna be fastest delivery around.
Oh, don't pay me enough for that,
Oh, no, sugar! Okay, who's the faster? Who's the fastest? It's me. Talk to me. No more stress. Just sit back.
Children love to play and have fun. And they love gifts even more, especially ones that they can enjoy and learn from. With Bermuda Trivia Coloring Books, kids can explore the island while they color, learn, and create. The perfect activity for fun and learning together. Available now.
Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms to learn more.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit friesenbrook.bm to learn more.
Sometimes, all we need is to relax. Take our minds away from it all. A midday break from the busy day. And just a little time to ourselves. Relax, take a break, and unwind with Bermuda Trivia's crossword puzzle book. Available now across Bermuda. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms to learn more. All right, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, and our good friend from Bermuda is Love, but today representing the Cost of Living Commission, Aaron Crichlow. Always appreciate having good guests that are able to engage all of you with new information. All right, folks, I want to give a big shout out and love to the BAC group of companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and also big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring we can pump through the radio airwaves on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, are you ready, folks? It's Bermuda Trivia today. Very simple and easy question. If we pay attention to our current events, not just the negative, but the positive things that are happening in Bermuda and around us. Which former Bermuda international was recently named the senior men's national football team coach? All right. Full name. John Barry Newsom. Yes, Traveling Trotty. Yes, Julie. John Barry Newsom, it was. He was, yes. You're all paying attention. Yes, yes. Postlewaite and WKD Lama. And John, you paying attention. We've got John Barry Newsom. John Barry Newsom, yes, was recently named the men's national team football coach. But I want to say big up to John Barry. Congratulations to him. That's a good brother right there. A very good brother. So I wish him the very best at leading Bermuda's men's national football team. And I hope that all of us get behind him as he attempts to drive our football forward. All right. Final thoughts on this morning, as it relates to the discussion earlier. All roads, man. I've said it before and I'll say it again. No matter how poor the roads may be, whether there's lines or not, we, the people who use them,
have a responsibility to do better. This doesn't say that government doesn't need to do what they need to do, which is make sure that our roads are in decent condition. What it is saying is that we have a role and responsibility to play in keeping ourselves, our family, our friends, and our community safe. I challenge each and every one of us to do better, but also to encourage our loved ones to do better. I'm not sitting here publicly saying anything to you I wouldn't say to people in private. Someone said it earlier that we think that somebody being drunk has to be all falling over. No. Any impairment, they said, that leads to 5 seconds of delay. Stop thinking that a couple drinks is okay in operating a vehicle. Stop thinking that you need to reply to that text right now. Stop thinking that getting there faster is better than getting there safer. Let's do better. And it starts with each and every one of us today. As far as the conversation with the minister, Alexa Lightbourne and Aaron Crichlow from the Cost of Living Commission, I understand what they're trying to do. I do. I get it. I think they believe that they're doing what's necessary to help Bermudians. My concern is that, yes, I sympathize with a company that is compliant like Lindo's that can mess with their business. Well, they're being compliant, but their competitor's not. And the only thing that's going to happen to their competitor is they'll face a fine that's going to be pretty much moved on to the client. Like that doesn't make me as Lindo's feel good. I get what they're trying to do. I do. I do. But I am concerned and I do sympathize with Lindo's. That makes me a bad person, so be it. At the end of the day, as we spoke about last week, it's hard to live in Bermuda. It's tough to live in Bermuda when it comes to the economics and finances of the country. Costs are high. They're not high because everyone's trying to rip someone off. It's the overall cost of doing business sometimes. We need to figure something out sooner rather than later. And at some point, like with driving on our roads, we may have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what can I or we do to help reduce the cost of living? All right, folks, let me give you some daily inspiration and I'll let you go on your way. Straight out of page 102 in The Journey Within. This is my book. And if you don't have it, please, you can get a copy at People's Pharmacy, Brown & Co., Bermuda Bookstore. This quote is on page 102. Opportunities don't come to those who wait. They come to those who create. And that's why we're here on the Daily Hour, having these engaging community conversations on a regular basis. Alrighty, folks, it is time to say see you later. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. ER is out. Peace.